Hello, everyone, and welcome to Poetry and Perspective with Placide. I can see that my internet is already wanting to give me trouble, but not today, okay? So, listen, guys, welcome to Poetry and Perspective with Placide Global Link. I am your kind hostess, Cindy Placide, and with me today, I have Jermila Sealys. And today, we are going to be discussing one of the first of our many segments on grief and loss, okay? We are going to be one of the first of our many segments on grief and loss. Okay. So let me get to Facebook and let me see what Facebook is going to tell me because I have to get my viewers on Facebook. So let me see. Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. So guys, listen, Jamila, please, if you don't mind, introducing yourself.
Introduce myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. I think most people would know me by now because I'm coming back again as the second time. The last time I was on scene, the show was come down to my book launch in St. Lucia. So my name is Jermila Sealys. I am a grief support coach. I'm a nurse by profession and a military veteran.
Sound awesome. So she got many things I need for bed. So what are we going to talk about today, darling?
We're just gonna talk about grief.
Yes, I know a lot of people are going through grief. Okay, a lot of people, most people we know have lost a loved one, and I think one of the things that people is difficult for people is that first of all they don't know what to say to the person, and they don't know how to handle the grief. Okay, so could you tell us what was your experience like? I know you lost a lot of people like I did. So tell us what your experience was like and what moved the needle for you.
What my experience was like and what moves it, what made the shift
Mhm.
into going down that route into wanting to be a grief support coach is really that I have experienced it, but I can never tell you I really know what you're going through as a grief coach. I can sympathize with you, but I cannot walk in your shoes. Grief is a very um, painful mentally, physically, and spiritually. I think when people look at grief, we don't look at grief in the sense that it can also be a mental challenge. And the people that are around us who are grieving, they are grieving silently. Like myself, I used to grieve silently and I was still available physically to do my job as a nurse. I had to be there. Like in 2020, I had to be wrapping dead bodies for the morgue whilst I'm preparing myself emotionally, physically, and even spiritually to be able to be in St. Lucia with my family and to lay my mom to rest. So that was a very challenging time for me. I was slipping into depression and I didn't realize it because I was always smiling, I always going to work, I ignored myself, I ignore my emotions, I ignore my feelings. And the reason I believe I was ignoring my feelings, Cindy, was because people always turn around and say they admire your strength and you are so strong, you need to continue being strong. It's like they're telling you you have to continue putting on the show instead of showing up and letting people know that I'm hurting, I'm not there physically. I disappeared. Most of the time I feel like I was invisible because people was only seeing the physique that's in front of them and not what really was going on with me inside. Grief was slowly eating me away, per se. And I know a lot of people are going through that at the moment.
Yeah, and I can totally relate to that because you hear a lot of people say that don't understand what they're going through. They don't understand, how difficult it is. And like you said, people you will not understand. You can relate to them, but you never know exactly how they are feeling because your loss, their loss is not yours as much as you sympathize with them. Because as we have people in our circle where we grew up with, like your mom and my mom, you understand? We have
Yeah.
different experiences. We have different experiences. We have different things that we went through. It's not like it's not the same identical thing. So the feelings are going to be different. The way we process is going to be different. And people need to, a lot of people need to understand too that the process of grieving somebody is not identical to one person. To people, we process it differently. We go through different emotions at different points in time, and I have come to appreciate that. Sometimes, like you said, we mask those feelings, we mask it. We feel like, we have to put up a show, put up a facade, and we have to smile to everybody. I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm doing all right, but deep down inside, we don't feel like we're being heard, and we don't feel like we being seen. We invisible, like you said.
Yeah, we're always invisible. And I think when COVID came along, it was a very good way of hiding our mask because you couldn't see that
Mm-hmm.
face. You couldn't see the line, or you couldn't see my jawbone. So you cannot tell whether I'm smiling or whether I was hurting. So
Mm-hmm.
those facial expressions that was so visible became invisible to the
Mm-hmm.
naked eyes because we have it covered. And being brave, trying to be brave, trying to be strong, trying to be there for my patient's family as well as my family. I put myself last, and I not until I started writing my book, letting
Mm-hmm.
the pain out, learning to release from grief and loss, that I realized I had to take self-care, make yourself a priority in your
Mm-hmm.
grieving process. Because if you're not a priority in your grieving process, you're no good to anybody, you know,
Exactly.
because they can't see. They don't see your vulnerability. They don't
Mm-hmm.
see you as a person. They only seeing you carrying on, doing the job, and constantly saying that you are strong, but yet you're not. You are breaking down inside.
Yes,
And
and it's amazing too, because people keep telling you you're the strongest person that I know, and yes, you know that you are strong. But when does the strong person need help? When does the strong person get to a point that they are not strong anymore? Are they even allowed to show their vulnerability and to show that soft side of them, where they are allowed to grieve in a proper way and to cry and to do whatever they need to do when it comes to grief?
I we don't. And as a matter of fact, the person, even to the viewers who's listening right now, Cindy, they don't know. People, we have to just admit, I don't know what to tell you in this vulnerable time, in this difficult situation. But sometimes we try to say something because we feel like if we stay silent, um our friend, our colleague, our family member do not understand, will feel like that we are not supportive. And in
Mm-hmm.
that time is the same time where you shoot yourself in the mouth and you say something at that moment that you just say it and you didn't realize the impact that it had on the person. Telling somebody to be strong, you're telling the person to forget about the grief that they're experiencing. You're telling them that what they're going through right now, it shouldn't be it's, you need to be strong. You shouldn't, you cannot make people see your vulnerable side, your weak side, you know.
So, as a grief counselor, what would you advise somebody to say? If somebody lost a loved one, just give us. I know you have your book is going to be coming out soon. You're just going to be dealing with that, but give just little nuggets of what would you say. What are some of the things you would instead of telling somebody be strong? Because at that point, the person don't need to be strong because they are at a loss. You understand? They lost their loved one and they are grieving. So, what would you tell somebody? You went to the person and the person lost a family member. What would the first thing you would advise someone to say to them?
I would not advise somebody to say anything. That the thing that stayed with me the most, Cindy, was when I lost my sister in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got this friend in the UK called Marcia. And then the moment I text Marcia and said to Marcia, Marcia, I lost my sister. And my sister just died. By the time I got home, Marcia was already there with a bunch of flowers and food. And then she was there with another, two other friends of mine, and they came and they brought the food, and they just sat there with me on the sofa, and that was the best thing Cindy they ever did. They just sat there, they brought the food, and they just allow me to just sit there, speak to them, and allow my tears to flow. Silence is golden when you just sit and you do. You know the phrase that says action speaks louder than words?
Not at that point. Not at that time.
So
Not
at
at
that
that time.
not and at that time, actions, words become louder because
Mm.
people want to say something. They want to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I know exactly what you are feeling at that moment." And those are the worst thing to ever say. Although it might feel right to you at the time, it's not what we want to know. You might
And
come
I
and
think I have found that the best thing, like you said, is just come and just be there with the person. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all. Just be there with that person, and just stay there and allow that person to open up to you, let them tell you. You don't have to ask, how are you feeling? Because for me, you ask me how I'm feeling, I'm crying an ocean. I will not be able to say nothing to you. You understand? So just allow them to be themselves. Even if they don't want to talk, just hold them, hug them. You understand? Even if sometimes at that point, sometimes people don't even want you to touch them. Some people, they don't want you to touch them. They just want to know that somebody is there, and you
Mhm.
can just be there for that person.
Yeah, you just need somebody. You just need the presence. A presence
Mhm.
of somebody is better than they telling you their own story that I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. You knowing how I feel in that moment, you doesn't really know exactly how I'm feeling because every grief situation is different. But I
Mhm.
understand that as a loved one, watching your loved ones go through grief, you want to say something.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what I feel I didn't do as the griever, I should have taken people on some offers because someone would say, let's go for a walk or let's go for a meal. But even if you don't want to eat, you just go out and just come out of the surrounding in the house because being in the house, in the environment, makes you more depressed. It makes you feel more down. You
Mhm.
turn around and you think, your mother would have been in this place sitting. She would be at the stove cooking, and sometimes you just need to take yourself out of the environment at time and
Yes.
take people on the offer. If somebody offers to come and bring you food, take the food. I think
Mhm.
that's where I went wrong. I didn't take people on some of their offers, and I thought I could have done it alone.
Mhm.
Another thing, don't ask the person how it happens. What happened? You know, when somebody died, we like to come forward and say, "What happened?" And I'm leaving that everybody that asks me what happened, I'm telling them again and again.
You
But
reliving it.
yes, and remember, at that same time, I am struggling to make sense of what happened
What
myself
happened?
because I'm still
Yes.
in denial. I'm angry. I'm still upset at other people, and then you come in and ask me to relieve this again and again and again. And we don't check up on our friends, our strong friends after the funeral. When the burial is done and everything is over, nobody check on you again.
Mhm.
And as friends, now is the time to come and talk to the person, ask them, how are you feeling? What's going on? How maybe they won't answer you, but just leave them. Just
Mhm.
show up, just be there and sit with
Mhm.
them. Because even at that time, that's when it is the worst moment, is when
Mhm.
you've put the dirt on it, you shut that coffin, you cannot see that face again.
Mhm.
That's when the moment hits you the most, that, oh, I'm not gonna see mommy again, and the reality strike that my sister is not going to be here.
Let me say hello to some of our viewers. Okay, we have
Yes.
Jeanette Fontinel watching. So good evening to all our viewers. We have Glenda Hyacinth watching. We have Access Eden watching, Valentine and Cathy Love. Okay, so we have a few of people over here watching. Welcome to Porch and Perspective with Placide. Tonight we're talking about with Jermila Sealys. She's a grief counselor. She's an author. She's also a nurse, and we also have Giselle Pascord. We That's your daughter, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh
Giselle.
no, that's one of my sisters from our speaker mentorship course
Okay.
with Dr. Collins.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, we have her watching. Sounds like your Giselle. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was your daughter. But good night to good evening to everyone who is on here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're speaking to Jermila. She has faced a lot of loss, she has out of that loss, she wrote a book, letting the pain out, and it is important for us to let the pain out when we are grieving. It is important for us to be able to express ourselves, for us to be able to cry and to have healthy healing. And I know when my daughter passed away, I was going to the hospital every single day for 2 months. She never got to come home, and I was going to the hospital every single day, twice a day for 2 months, because I had a C-section and I had a 5-year old who um who was who has autism, and I needed to take care of him. But I was making it a priority for him to go to the hospital. And although she never got to come home, but when I after she passed, I just locked myself in a cocoon. I locked myself in that room, and then I didn't want to have the company of no one. I didn't want to be among people. I just didn't. And it was difficult for me to be in the room where I had her crib up, where I had a crib up, where all the things I was ready for her to come home, and she did not come home. And it was hard for me for people to ask me, Cindy, how are you? It was hard for me them to ask you, how are you feeling today? It was hard for me to hear, you know, do you need anything? Everything everybody told me, it was like pertaining to that loss. It
Yeah.
triggered tears. It triggered heartbreak. It brought back everything. So I was going to ask you that question, but it was Kathy asked a question. How do you tell someone in a nice way that I don't want to talk about it?
Um, I think it's kind of hard to, you might, they might feel that we are being rude if we say we don't want to talk about it. But sometimes you can just say to them, at this moment, I don't think I'm in the right space of mind to talk about it. But maybe later, when I'm feeling much better, I can tell you. But right now, I'm not in the right space of mind to speak about it. And I think if we tell people that now, we're not in the right space of mind to speak about something, they should understand that, because
Mhm.
I don't want to talk about it.
And it may take a minute for you to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
It
It
may
might
take a
take
minute. Oh,
forever,
thank you.
because it might take a minute to want to talk about it. It might take forever to talk about it, but it might take you to the place when you become comfortable to
Mhm,
speak about it. And that is how you must also know when to those feelings are coming, and when you're in a state of grief, you must know what triggers your emotions, what triggers guilt, what triggers anger,
mhm,
and shock. Because sometimes guilt will creep in, especially if you know something was coming up and the person was supposed to do that with you,
mhm,
and the person wasn't there. We were planning for my mom to come over when Mila graduation, but she
mhm,
never got to come. She
mhm,
never had the chance to do that. And I would have loved to probably spend a vacation with my mom, but my mom didn't want to take an aircraft. She always say, "I am not going on an aircraft alone." But we always respect that wishes of hers. But she did promise she would have come for her granddaughter's graduation, but she never got the opportunity to come. And
mhm,
on Mother's Day, I'm not gonna lie, I've written my book, I found my sense of healing. But when Mother's Day came, it triggered it again. It triggers that sense that I haven't got my mom, and I cannot say um Happy Mother's Day to to her, to that woman who selflessly did everything for us. And
Mm-hmm.
that time it triggered it. It got me to that sense where I felt really sad, really lonely, really alone, that everybody is able to post their mom and wish them happy Mother's Day. But I didn't get to, I don't have that to tell her anymore. But on the positive side, what I realized was I have my grandmother and I have to make the best of what I've got with her and the moments that I've got left with her. I
Mm-hmm.
always say make it right with your family members, because when that day comes, you won't be able to say I'm sorry. You won't be able to say I love you. You won't be able to say I forgive you for that thing that you said about me or for that thing that you did to me. You won't, and that will eat up on you because you did not get the chance
Yes.
to say I'm
And
sorry.
that is totally understandable because I was up here and my mom died. Okay. And I never got to say goodbye. I wasn't at her funeral, although it was aired live, but it was not the
Mhm.
same.
No.
And I I have not had closure with that. It is difficult for me because I feel like if I can get to just visit her grave, then it will ease up all the confusion, all the
Mhm.
pain that I'm holding inside. Not being able to say goodbye, not being able to be there for her when she needed me. And I passed by a cemetery. I remember a friend of mine died last year, and I didn't tell anybody, but it was so difficult for me. I was literally like dying inside, being at a funeral home or being in that graveside, because all I could feel was my mom, because
Mhm.
I wasn't there, when that part of everything happened. And I've not told anybody, but I have that deep, deep pain inside of me. It's like there's something missing. And until I don't see her grave, I will not be, I will not, as almost like I have not really accepted that she's gone. Like I'm going to go home and I'm going to see her. And, although I cannot get the phone calls anymore, but it is tough.
It is. It is always tough. It is tough, no matter what, whether you were expecting the person to die or not. It is tough. We know that death is a natural part of life, but when it happens, it turns our world upside down. As a nurse, I knew I deal with dead bodies every day. I wrap a dead body every single day. I was the one who made the phone calls and said, I think it's time for you to come in. Or I did not have the time to tell them it's time to come in. I had to say, I'm sorry, but your loved ones didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come in? And I was the one, when the family comes, I'm the one offering them a cup of tea. I'm the one asking them, what do you need? Can you, they're sitting down, and you're offering them that bit of comfort. You give them that bit of reassurance. They're asking you, were you there in the room when it happens? Did you, was he alone? Those questions they will ask you.
Yeah,
And
and
then
also, and
when it
without cutting you short, I find that these are some of the questions that I ask about my mom. I know for my brother, the last brother that passed, I saw him on video. I almost literally, I didn't see him take his last breath, but in his
Mhm.
final few minutes, I saw him. But for mom, it wasn't like that. You understand? And I had to ask people questions. How was she? What was it's like you want to know the simplest details of what happened at the same time. And I understand how these people are feeling. At the same time, how are you going to process all of this? How are you going to process all of this? I know I'm talking to you right now about my mom, and my it's like almost like I have a thing on my chest because I like I need to see her for I need to be where she was for me to really come to grips with I've lost her. And like Mother's Day, when although I celebrate mothers every day, but for me, just to see everybody having posting pictures with their mom and saying, Happy Mother's Day and stuff like that, and to know that I cannot even pick up the phone and just to call her and say, Mom, how you doing today? My mom and I had our differences. We didn't have the best of
Mhm.
relationships, but yes, she was still my mom. And I don't have that close. I don't have it. And I think about her every day. I want to know the last moments. What did she say? How did she? It's just so many questions you have about that person's last moments. On of when you were not there.
Yeah, that I get you. I totally understand where you're coming from, but I do not know exactly the weight of the pain that you're carrying. But as I said, I totally understand because you wanted. I got closure because I got to go home even though after maybe 4 months, because mommy died in March and I went home in July, spent 2 weeks in quarantine, and then we laid her to rest in August. So I got closure. I got closure so much so that I was able to perform her last offices. I was able to shower my mom, get her dressed, laid her in her casket, and get her and have her ready for the next day. I was able to do that. I was able to do this last beat to make me realize that yes, she's indeed not going to be here anymore with us. And I think that was the part that kind of helped me shift that weight off my shoulder. But also, if you would have asked me about it a year ago, I wouldn't be so comfortable about talking about my loss with you. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be so confident about telling you that I've been through it. They both died suddenly. Both my mom and my sister died suddenly. And both times I received a phone call to see that they've passed and I was never there. But
Mhm.
I am, as I said, I am familiar with dying, people dying. I'm familiar with seeing dead bodies. I'm familiar with wrapping them, preparing them, washing them, and get them ready and make them look presentable for their family to come. I know the signs, but I wasn't there. I didn't see the sign. And that was the thing that was eating me inside because I was not present to see what happened, what she needed, what
Mhm.
was wrong. I know death is coming. It's gonna come at any times. We do not know when it's coming. It will
Mhm.
happen. I know that so much so, but when it happens, the knowledge, the experience you've got has was taken out of the window and I became a novice again. I wasn't
Mhm.
an expertise in the things that I knew.
Mhm.
And that was where life was taking me down that drain. And I was still present. I still used to show up, but I was broken. I was
Mhm.
broken so much so that sometimes I would feel like my head space was just empty and nothing was in there. And until I realized that I was going into depression. And the worst thing was, I know a lot of people lost people during the COVID time. And then that's isolation period, that's social distances, that you
Mhm.
couldn't even see your brother, you couldn't see your sister, or know your brother and your sister could come into the same place to help you grieve the loss of that person. That is the difficult time. That was
Yes.
really a difficult time. And that's why grief is something I hold so dear to my heart. And I know because I've been through it. I know the pain of it, but I do
Mhm.
not know the people's pain. As I said, I will
Mhm.
keep repeating that I do not know your pain. Your pain is as unique as your DNA, it's as unique as your blood type. It only belongs to you. And
Mm-hmm.
all I can do is just support you, give you that safe space where you can talk about it. And I cannot give you my experience. I can only tell you what I've been through when I was there, and how I was losing myself. I was neglecting myself. I was even neglecting my own family who was around me. And to be honest, when you have children around you, allow the children to be children, allow them to grieve.
Yeah.
They know something is wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
the worst thing is to try and hide it from them
Yes.
and make
Yes.
them believe that they are not experiencing what they are going through. Because if it's so much tougher on us, we have to realize that this small child among us, those babies, those little children around us, they are hurting as well. And they will try and get the attention else another way. They will
Yes. Yes.
they will act up. My was doing it. She was acting up, she was playing up, she's lying, she's making up a story. And
Mm-hmm.
basically because we didn't feel like, people say, oh, the children will get over it. No, they also lost that same person too.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
have to do it. When you're doing it, do it as a family, because everybody went through it together.
Yeah, and to add to your point, Jamila, to add to your point, you know my Noah is autistic, right? And then
Yes.
so he's not able to verbalize how he feels. But two experiences we had when my sister died. Sorry, when his
Mhm.
sister died, my daughter died, right?
Yes.
He was misbehaving more than the usual. And I could not put my finger on it. So I took him to a psychologist. I said, these are some of the these are some of the behaviors that he's exhibiting. And so she talked to him, she examined him, and then she said, he is grieving as hard as you are because he was expecting a sister. He was
Mhm.
excited about
Mhm.
that sister
Mhm.
because he was even touching my stomach. You understand? And just sister. He
Ah.
would say the little words that we know. And he went to the hospital. He saw his sister at the hospital. He
Mhm.
held her. She held his finger. She talked to him. He was able to touch her, and he was expecting her to come home, but then she never did. And the last thing he knew was that we were in this space, and I could not explain to him at that time what death was. I didn't know with his condition how to explain it to him. But and eventually I figured out ways, to explain it to him. And then he now, when my friend passed in November,
Mhm.
that was his buddy. You understand? That was his
Yeah.
buddy. And so he would call out her name and he would tell me she died. And he would come to me and say, she's gone. Now he's in the kitchen now. I'm trying to just, because he would,
Yeah.
yeah. And so he would say stuff like, she's gone, she's not there anymore. He would just like start saying things, and calling out her name. And sometimes he would just look at me with that utter sad face, and he would literally say, she died. And so it is important for us to give these children, no matter whether they have disabilities or not, it is important for us to explain, make them give that understanding of what is really happening, because the grief can, like you said, can cause them to go wayward. And then we may think that they not understand, but if we take the time out for us to explain things to them, even if like with him, I had to show him somebody who's leaving, and I had to show him a hole where they put in somebody in.
Mhm.
And I had to tell him, now mommy is standing, mommy is leaving, but the person's eyes is closed and they're putting him underneath the ground. So that means that person has passed. And it took me I'm telling you, it took me a couple of lessons to be able to help him understand that part of it, because he
Yeah.
could not understand how somebody was there and then they're not there anymore and then they don't. So it's important for us to explain to these children what's going on, because they will understand if we help them understand.
Yeah, they will. They knows, children knows more than we give them credit for.
Yes.
And I feel they know a lot more than we give credit for. So if you have a child and you lost somebody, you lost your partner, you lost their dad or something, it's important to allow them to tell you how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shut them out. Don't tell them to go and play, because we knew that a lot of the time, when, especially growing back in the Caribbean, when they used to have wake and people come into the house, the elderly people used to send us and play.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't used to um you will never know a conversation starting about, no, but they don't tell you that the person has died. They
Mm-hmm.
used to say the person's gone to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So what I might look at sleep as is somebody going to sleep for a couple of hours and the person will be awake again.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't tell you that this person has died and they're not coming back. Sometimes we have to be as plain as we can with the children and those with disabilities around us. Let them understand that this person has died. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to see this person again. How are you feeling? What's going on? And they don't, sometimes they don't talk to us. So if they don't want to talk to us, ask them to write it, ask them
Mm-hmm.
to draw it, ask them
Mm-hmm.
to do a picture of what they're going through. Give them journals, ask them to journal the experience, how they're feeling today. Because myself today, I was feeling okay. Tomorrow I feel happy, and the next day I'm feeling sad again, because there's no end results when you're grieving. You lose it, you come back.
And
And
Jamila, you know, people need to be educated about these things because, like you said earlier, people will not know what to say to you when a
Mhm.
family member dies. But one of the worst things that you can tell, and somebody said it to me, and I was outraged. It's 5 years. You get over it. Whew,
Yeah,
I'm
move
still feeling the
on.
emotions. You get over it. Grief, your grief of losing your loved one, you may learn to cope in different ways, but you have, like you said, you have waves. It's gonna come back. There are times, I just feel utterly hopeless. Like I want my daughter here with me. When I see little girls and the hair all comb, I like to comb children hair. I feel that grief comes back. That moment
Yeah.
of, I would call it my moment of insanity comes back.
Mhm.
And I'm allowed to have my moments of insanity because death is not death. We were not born to die. We were born
Yeah.
to live. You understand, to enjoy life. And then, so it is kind of like it is hard when we lose somebody. It is really hard. And for us to say the wrong things to somebody, and I know a lot of people say things because, like you said, they want to help that person feel better, and they don't know what to say. But understand that if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, it could trigger a lot of bad emotions, a lot of unwanted. It could even bring the person back to a place of depression, especially if they are already beginning to heal.
Yeah.
Yes. Kathy asked, would you say you are now comfortable talking about your mom?
Yes, I'm in that safe space now that I'm comfortable talking about my mother,
Mm-hmm.
talking about my sister, talking about my uncle, my grandma by my father's side, talking about my godmother, my nene, talking
Mm-hmm.
about all of those, my aunt, and all of those who has gone. I am comfortable about talking about them because I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
I know what people said after, what people were saying is not wasn't true. I know
Mm-hmm.
that how people expected me to grieve. It
Mm-hmm.
I had to grieve in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot take on somebody else's way of how they did it. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot say that I am going to move on. By tomorrow I should be grief free. I still feel it, but I
Mm-hmm.
am at this place where I am comfortable talking about death, talking about grief. I think right now we should be able to, in society, we go to school and people speak about everything else. They
Mm-hmm.
speak about the weather, I would meet somebody on the bus and they'll talk about the weather. I'll meet somebody um, at work and they'll speak about the vacation. I'll meet somebody in the street and they will tell you, "Oh, I've got a grandson coming." But nobody is comfortable and say, "Oh, today this person died. I'm
Mhm.
here because I've lost somebody." And
And
people in society didn't give us that opportunity and that platform where you can meet Cindy and say, "Cindy, I'm not feeling well because today I'm struggling because I lost my mom. I'm struggling and I do not know what to do." Because they
yeah,
didn't make it okay. It's a taboo topic. It's a subject that is closed.
yeah, and it is important that we are able to talk about these things, because look at how you wrote your book and it was able to give you a sense of, comfortability. I wrote my book and it was able to help me to open up, to be able to help other people. If we do not open up and we keep bottling these things, I want people to understand that grief is a part of mental illness, it's a part of your mental health. You understand? Because if you cannot function properly, if you keep holding on to, if you keep, like, just bottling everything inside, it literally is going to have an effect on your mental health. So you have got to be able to, like Jamila said, don't make it a taboo, but find that place of comfortability where you are able to talk about and open up about it and say, this is how I feel today. Yes, I lost somebody and then I am not doing well today. It's okay not to be okay one day. It's okay to have your moments of where you just want to sit and hold your person's picture and cry. It's okay to want to see a psychologist because you are not feeling that you are, that you are getting day by day getting better to be able to cope with that grief. We're not going to say that you're going to forget about that person. We're not going to say that the grief is ever going to end, but you get to a place where you are comfortable enough to be able to talk about it and to be able to help other people through their process. Because I believe for me, what it did for me talking about it and talking about issues, it helped me see that there are people out there with a greater need. You understand? A great need to be able to open up and to just be, like you said, vulnerable, and to talk about it so that they'll know that I am not alone in this. There are other people who have went through this and are facing the similar feelings like I'm feeling, and opening up and helping. And that's why when you came to me and when we talked about this, grief, I said this is just amazing, because people need to know that they have avenues to be able to express themselves.
Mhm. Because somebody like me, the how I would cope with it is different than how you'd cope. There are people who turn to the bottle to drinking. Like my brother didn't used to drink, but he's constantly drinking. Um, there are people who would stay there and they become suicidal because
And that's what
they want
and
to be
that's
with that person. They want to
and that's
take
what
their life.
happened to me. I just did not take drugs. You understand? Everything you could think of that could help me. You
Mhm.
understand? Deal with that, cope with that grief. It's Richie said, talk to me nice. I'm in the house. Hi, Richie. Richie's like this now. Yeah, but I was drinking like crazy. And when the wine did not do it for me, I turned to hard liquor. Hard liquor. You understand? And then I
Mhm.
wanted to die. I tried to take my life a couple of times. And it was just I had to get to that point where I had to want to help myself cope, to get to that space of mind where I can talk. You understand? So Antonia Johnson said, grief has many faces. Loss through death or loss through desertion or theft is serious. You definitely need an outlet. Vulnerability is therapeutic. If you are sharing these persons with, if you are sharing, if the person you're sharing with is not gossip and add to your hurt. And that is so true. You need to have a safe space to be able to speak about it, because you don't need to add on to that grief. You understand? Because
Yeah.
if somebody opens up to you and tells you about their issues, you understand what they're feeling, You don't have to go and tell every Tom, Dick, and Harry, oh, you see that one over there. You understand what I'm saying? You have to be able
Mm-hmm.
to be, at the word I'm trying to use, you have to be able to be a source of inspiration and help for that person, to help that person heal and not break them down even more, you know?
Yeah.
Claudia Alcid said hi.
Hi.
You know that person?
No, maybe because I know so many people, and then
Claudia. I don't know who I'm speaking to there.
by the face, or but maybe, you know.
Claudia Acid. I'll have to look to see what that person is. Probably that's my cousin another. No, I don't have my glasses, people. I just listen. I chose not to put the glasses because the glare the glasses giving on the computer, it is driving me crazy. So I'm squinting.
Yeah. So, and also to say, Cindy, you need to find that person that you trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this to say that I during the time I was experiencing my loss in my family,
Mm-hmm.
I am a Christian. I'm a strong believer in God. But at
Mm-hmm.
that time, even my faith was failing me. And I was starting to question whether I am being punished for something that I was doing wrong, whether I wasn't serving God right in the same place. And I was going to church every day, and I was lonely in the church because I did not want to open up and tell people that I'm starting to doubt my faith because I did not want to be judged, you know? And when you're going through grief and loss of anything, loss of a job, loss of your body parts, through diseases, when you're going through these kind of things, you feel so like you want to question the world. You want to question, why is this happening to me? Why am I the one? Why was I chosen to go through this thing? And
And
you
let
don't
me,
want to just tell people.
without cutting you short, I want people to understand grief. When grief is not just you losing somebody, okay? That is not the only person. That's okay. That is not the only way that people get have grief. You grief and loss can be brought about by a loss of yeah, you're right, Richie. When you're at your lowest, that's when the devil comes out. You grief can come about losing your job, losing a significant other. You can have grief when you're going through domestic violence. You can have grief when the economy breaks down. You lost your employment. There's so many facets to grief, because a lot of things can bring us grief. Any kind of loss can bring us grief. I understand what you're saying, Jamila. You know why? Because you started to doubt me. I asked God the question, why? Why would you allow this to happen to me? I've been I was angry with God. I only have one little girl. Why you allow her to die? And then my mom died. I can't go see her. Why are you allowing these things to happen to me? Why me? You understand? I did ask him some questions. I was mad at him. I
It's
was.
a one-way conversation at that time. Huh? You
Yes.
you are talking and nobody's answering you. You're
Mm-hmm.
talking to God. You're asking the question, why? Why? Why did my sister die and leave a 2-year-old, leave a 6 months old baby? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And you look around and you say there are people who don't even care. But then my lesson that I've learned, Cindy, is I had to go through it for a purpose. God
Mm-hmm.
had a greater plan, because if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't become an author of the book, letting the pain out,
Mm-hmm.
letting to release from grief and loss. I
Yes.
wouldn't find that this was what God wants me to do, to be a grief support coach. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't find the purpose that He had in the world for me. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes God has to put us through the hardship of life, the
Mm-hmm.
challenges where you reach breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
You almost broken, crumbled, but yet he takes you back together. This God is amazing. He just
Mm-hmm.
takes everything back together and put
Mm-hmm.
us and mold that clay and fix
Mm-hmm.
it so that
Absolutely.
you too can help somebody fix their brokenness. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I was broken for a purpose. God
Mm-hmm.
had to take me through that journey. I had to ride the wave of grief, all the emotions that come with it, in order to be able to stand strong
Absolutely.
and with my back against the wall and tell people, this is my story. It's up to you to take what you want from it. But after I tell you my story, I hope you've learned a lesson from what I'm sharing with you.
Mm-hmm. And it
And
can prove as a source of encouragement and empowerment to that person who's listening to the story. It can be,
yes,
and that's what we want. We want people to be empowered. We want them to be inspired. Okay, yes, we've been through this, but we are taking steps to help heal. And in that process of healing, we are paying it forward by helping others, to understand the grief cycle and what it is about. Jermila, you are such an amazing woman. Mm-hmm.
the grief cycle, when I was in nursing school, I learned about the stages of grief. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I had to go through it myself to
Mm-hmm.
prove that the stages of grief does not exist. It doesn't go in the order that the
No,
book
it
says.
does not. It does
It
not.
does not go into that order. When you
No.
get to acceptance, you get to acceptance and you come back again to denial.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
had to understand all this time this is wrong because I accepted, but I'm still in denial because now I've seen them lower that body into the grave. But yet I'm still in denial. I
Mm-hmm.
still do not believe that she's gone. I am
And,
hoping that when I go home after we leave the cemetery and I wake up in the morning, my mother would be in the house and my sister would be in the house.
and that's exactly what my psychologist was saying to me. She said to me, the grief cycle is not like like this. It comes different waves. You understand? One time you feel that way, you may go back to where exactly what you're saying. You go back to the denial, then you go back to blaming yourself, then you go back to a point where you up there, and then you go all like it's a melee, like you have a string and it's all around the place. That's how it is. You understand? And you just have to learn to cope. Learn to cope with it as it comes. Don't try to say, okay, well, I'm in denial today. Tomorrow I'm gonna be okay. No,
Yeah,
tomorrow the guilt will hit you. Pa.
a lot of people are guilty grieving, Cindy, in the world today. Look at the series of shooting that was going on in St. Lucia, in
Mm-hmm.
Viewfort. And a mother didn't expect that I'm gonna wake up today and somebody takes the life of my son.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, a child didn't expect that somebody will come from and my mom would be dying that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, this guilty grieving is something that's going to really eat us up because sometimes you're thinking it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't me, if I didn't get into the wrong crowd, my parents would be here today.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep thinking that I am to be blamed. I am blaming myself because I felt I wasn't in St. Lucia. I'm here as a nurse and I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking care of everybody, and I wasn't there to take care of my mother. To maybe I would have done something different, but
Mm-hmm.
when I look at it, probably there was nothing I could have done differently that probably would have made her still be here today.
But still, that feeling and that thought doesn't go away. Is there something I could have done? You know, I
Yes.
I think about that a lot. Probably if I was home, most probably I'd be able to, take care of my mom better. I'd be able to help her. I think of a lot of things. But Jamila, we can go on and on and on and on this topic. And
This is a
I'm getting,
good topic.
yeah, great feedback from people. Richie said God allow. Oh, where was I? Richie said God allow you to battle so you can be stronger. And Jermila said sometimes you buy a lottery ticket and ask God to help you win. When you lose, you don't feel bad just because God don't want you to be rich. So you understand the value of money. So God allow things to happen so that you may understand Him more. That this is a loving God and He doesn't just give handouts. He's not a footman truck. Oh my gosh, he's not, he's not a footman truck. God helps those who help themselves. And
Mhm.
God allows things to happen for a reason, reasons way beyond our comprehension. Centuries before things happen, before we are born, God sees it. You understand? He knows, very firm
Yes.
what is going to happen. So, but still, whether or not we are strong in our faith, whether or not we are Christians, whether or not we believe in God, death does not have friends. Death does
Nope.
not care if you have plenty money. It doesn't care if you have little money. It doesn't care if you are male, female. It doesn't care. It does strike when it's ready to strike, and there's nothing we can do about it. There is nothing.
Nothing you can do.
Mhm.
The richest person cannot avoid death. The poorest person cannot avoid death.
Nope.
And the young, the old, the in between, we're still going to die. People die even before they make their grand entrance into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are miscarriages happened even before that child even know that they were going to be here.
Yes.
So that's a life that's been lost. That's another thing that people don't see, that
Mm.
somebody, a mother who's lost a child, and they will turn around. I've got a friend who
Mm.
used to have a series of miscarriage, and people used to tell her, "You're still young." But we have to understand that she was making preparation to
For a life.
welcome somebody into the
Mm-hmm.
world, to welcome a son, a daughter. Um, some mothers see that child, you hold them, and then only for them not to be here the next day. So
Mm-hmm.
death comes at any point of the life cycle.
As you're saying that, I'm feeling cold because I just every time we talk about death, and it's much better for me now to be able to talk about it because I've I mean that's in that space that I can talk about a lot of things, but just to be able to I watch my daughter die. I watch her take a last breath, and that was a little person that I so wanted in my life, you understand? So
Mm-hmm.
these are things that we need to talk about. These are things that we need to discuss. These are things that we need to help people understand, help people to come to a place where they can cope better. They can cope better. And next, we'll be back here in the next. I know we it's about 1 hour, and I have another show tonight. Believe it. So we're not gonna give her too much, but next week we are next 2 weeks, right, Jamila?
Yeah, next 2 weeks, every
Next 2 weeks,
Friday, every two
every
Fridays.
two,
Yes.
we are going to be talking about grief and loss and other, maybe talk about this. So when is next week? Friday the 16th, of June. Oh my gosh, that's the day before my daughter was born. That's the day before her birthday. So
Oh yes.
yes, so
Oh,
she was born the June 17th. So we are going to be back here on the 17th talking about grief and loss. And I give Jermila, as a grief counselor, she's going to give you a lot of tidbits on little she call it little nuggets on how to be able to cope with the grief and the loss of losing someone that you love in death. Guys, it has been a pleasure. It is 6:06. Make sure put it on your calendar. June 16th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. GM time.
European time.
Okay, the European time. Join
Yeah.
us for another segment of how we gonna call our segment? Grief support.
Brief, brief nuggets. Well, if people have questions and they want to send it prior so that we
Mhm.
we knows, and then we can address those questions as well
Yes.
as best as we can. We can address those questions.
And they
For
are also posing questions
on
as
the
the
group.
life goes on. Yes. Yes.
Yes. So
As the life goes on. So
we
y'all can
can
Yes, so y'all can send it beforehand, or you could go
Send
ahead
it whilst it goes
as
through.
we go. I think it's exciting. But as we go through, you could hear the different questions that people come up with, because certain things
Yes.
that they say may help them too. But I am thank you, my viewers, for being here. Um, Thank you all for joining us. It's 6:07, and I want to thank you, Jermila, for coming on here. I believe this is gonna be a very good topic for us to be able to help other people come to terms with their loss, and
Mhm.
to handle grief a little bit, because a lot of people are not handling grief and loss of a loved one. They are not. Like you said, people are turning to alcohol, people are turning to drugs, people are turning to um sex, people are turning to all kinds of craziness. You understand? Well, the sex part is not bad, if you're not doing it with the
Because we don't normalize it. So we're hoping that this platform would help us
yes,
normalize talking about death, talking about grief. Because right now, as we're talking, every 2 seconds they say persons died in the world, two
yes,
people or more died.
yes,
So people are dying every second, and we know that. But when it happens to us, it's very difficult. So what I'm just going to leave with the viewers is that never compare your grief to anybody else. Never expect that there is an end stage of grief, and your grief is as unique as your blood count. It's as unique as your DNA. It's only you can tell exactly what you are going through.
mhm,
Nobody, no two grieving experience is the same. I might have gone through it, but I do not know exactly how you are feeling in that moment. So never look at me because, say, Jermila had five and she went through it, and I've only got one and I'm struggling. No, no, no. Don't compare yourself with me. Don't compare yourself with Cindy, because we all go through grief differently and our experience with grief will be different. So
absolutely.
until next time, viewers, we'll see you
Okay.
and we'll
Have
talk
a
to
good
you
night. And
next
remember, it is okay not to
time.
be okay. It is okay not to be okay. Mental health and mental is real. Talk to somebody. Giselle Prescott, she gave a clap, and then Antonia said, "Thanks to the hostess for sharing your wisdom and encouragement. Thank you, appreciate you." And your daughter Neela Sealys says, "Well done, mom." Oh, that's so
Oh,
sweet.
thank you,
All right, have a good night, everybody. I'll see you all at 8 o'clock. I have a special guest tonight at 8 o'clock, so join, okay? Have until next time. In 2 hours for me. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Jamila.
Bye.